Hello and welcome to another episode of Connecticut at your service. My name is Carmen Nieves and I am your host. And we come to you live each Tuesday on Soundview Community Media TV at 6:30, where we feature individuals that are making a difference in their community through their work, their volunteerism, or their work. And they do that all with a purpose. So today, I can't tell you how excited I am to share with you an amazing community resource. I feel like to introduce him, I have to do it like if I was like in a football stadium. Mr. Eddie Tranzcendent Martinez. Welcome to the show, Eddie. It's so amazing to have you here. And today could not have been a better day to have you here. The weather was perfect. Yes. I had an awesome day. I'm reading your stuff on your website, and I've known you, but sometimes you don't really know people. Yeah. But I was reading your website and all the things that you've accomplished and you've been through. You were in the military, in the Army. I want to start off by saying thank you for your service and just open the floor for you to share a little bit about you, your story, and kind of how you're doing the things that you're doing with just helping people find positivity.
I think for me, it's been a point of mine to not share too much of my personal life at first, because I wanted to make sure people understood that I wanted to help, and that it wasn't so much about me. It was more about me wanting to help and wanted to really help make a difference. And so now I'm getting to the point where I'm sharing more of my story, because I think it makes sense to share it now. So that's probably why before you didn't know too much, and now you're starting to see it more, especially with the new website. It tells a little bit of my story, and now you get to know a little bit about who I am. But I think it was purposeful that I did that, because again, I didn't want to. I didn't want to make it about me. I wanted to make it more about helping and just being that person that I knew that I was meant to be.
I looked at your website and I want you to share whatever you're comfortable with sharing, because I think your story says that your past doesn't dictate your future, and that anything that you want to become. And I think what I respect about you is that you voice things into being, right? They call you the happiness enthusiast.
Yes.
You got to tell me like what that means, because I felt that today. Like I really felt that today, that you manifest what you want. Yes. So share with me, like, how did you even get that people are the happiness enthusiast?
I think that being an enthusiast is something that a lot of us are, but yet we tend to kind of lean more towards being some kind of a pro or some kind of a guru or something. But I think that being an enthusiast is important, because it means that you're still working at it. And so I'm still working at my happiness. So that's why a happiness enthusiast is what I am. And the things that I do are things that bring me happiness. And because I want happiness, I do those things. And that's why when you look at the things that I do, there's things that are kind of all over the spectrum, because they all bring me a different kind of happiness. And I think for me, I just understood early on that the things that happened to me in the past and the life that I had in the past doesn't necessarily mean that I'm going to stay there, and that I have the power to change that. And by me doing that and talking about it, I'm able to show people that not only am I talking about it, but I'm living it. And so if I can do it, so can you. And so that's where all that comes from. It all comes from me trying to inspire folks to understand that whatever your past is your past, and that's okay. But you can change that as long as you're willing to take that step forward to do it. And
I've known you for a long time. We were together with the Puerto Rican Day Parade. We were together with the Greater Bridgeport Latino Network. BCYL, John was here not too long ago, Bridgeport Caribe Youth Leaders. And so you've always been somebody that's been there. And I remember having this conversation with you. It's be like, I know you're spread, because didn't you leave your job to like on faith and be like, there's a calling to what I need to do, and I'm going to focus on that. So I just really respect that. And I think a lot of us are in that place where we're like, this is not for me, but I don't know how to go.
Yes.
So that's got to be a very impactful story on its own.
It was, yeah, and I can share some of it. I think if I sat here and tell you the whole story, we might not have enough time in this program.
We might not. This is like 30-minute show.
But I'm gonna give you kind of the short version. So what happens is, it all started when I did my first tour, or my only tour in Iraq. And landing in Iraq was when I started to realize how things are kind of outside of where we're at, because I think that when you're born and raised in one place, like Bridgeport, you tend to think that that's all that there is. And you don't tend to really learn more about the world until you get that perspective and you step out. And so by me stepping out and seeing the things that I saw and those feelings that I felt, I knew that there was more to life than what I thought was there. And I knew that there was a higher purpose for me. And so after I left the Army, I was able to land a great job with the state of Connecticut, and I did that for about 7.5 years. But what I found was that I had a good job, I had money in the bank, beautiful girlfriend, a beautiful truck. Everything was great, but I was still unhappy. And so I felt like I had to figure out what was missing. And the only way that I can do it was by getting rid of what was there and just start to what I call trying different dishes, meaning trying different things until I found what was that thing that I really love to do. And that's where I came from. And the same way you feel about it, everybody else did, where they thought I was kind of crazy to do that. But I felt like that was the best way for me to kind of realize who it is that I am and what my purpose is. And it worked out.
And I agreed, and you've been very consistent about your purpose. And I think that most of us see you, first of all, we were like, why would he leave his job or whatever? And we see the craziness of that, but you go out on faith and things work out because they were meant for you. And I think that I think in your bio I was reading that it talks about that you believe that we were predestined to whatever our journey is.
Yes.
And I think that I would love to hear some advice of how some people call it signs. Some people feel like there's that little nudge that says, listen, you got to go, and then you don't listen to that. But what are the things that helped you make a decision in that? Because I feel like a lot of people are where you are, but don't have the freedom to do the things that you do.
Well, I think the first thing is the gut feeling. Nobody knows you better than you. Just nobody does. And so when you get that gut feeling about whatever it is, you should go on it because, again, it's never going to fail you. Maybe at first it feels like it failed you, but in the long run, you will understand that it didn't fail you because nobody knows you better than you. And so for me, I just believe that everybody has a purpose, and everybody's purpose is the same. Our purpose is to give back. We were given life by whatever we believe in. We believe in God, the universe, whatever it is. We were given life, and we have to repay that. And we repay that by giving back. But now what do we give? And so instead of trying to discover your purpose, you discover what your gift is, because your gift would then open up what it is that you give back. What I found was that my gift was communication. I love communicating. I love the microphone. I love being in front of the camera. I love it. So then once I figured out my gift, I said, okay, so now how do I turn this gift into a purpose? What do I give back? And in that search, in that journey, I discovered that what I was set to give was my journey. So I'm going to go on my journey, and I'm going to give you my journey as I'm going through it, hoping that it will inspire you to go through your journey. And then, so that's kind of what I figured out in a way. And again, the gut feeling. I had the gut feeling of leaving my job, and I did it, and it was scary, and I got bad. My house went into foreclosure. I lost my truck. I was damn near homeless. But at the end, it kind of worked out because, again, I discovered who I was.
And I didn't know that, and I've known you for more than 10 years. It's got maybe longer than that. You know, and you just never really knows people's story. I see you as a success now, right? You're with BRBC, you're doing their leadership Greater Bridgeport, right? I see you in the boards that you chair. You were with a nonprofit organization with their development and their marketing. And we don't, we see you, you have a podcast and all these different things that you do, and nobody knows the struggle behind the success.
Well, I think a lot of that is because when people see me doing the things that I do, they automatically assume that I'm being paid for all these things when I'm not. And so the fight has been, how do I figure out what my purpose is while also not getting income? And so that has been the struggle. And so people see that and they think that I'm doing well, but they don't understand that the podcast is free. I'm the president of GBLN, that's free. I'm the chair of LGB, that's free. I used to be the vice president of Puerto Rican Parade of Fairfield County, that's free. But everything I've got in return, I was involved with the Latino Scholarship Fund out of Danbury, that was free. These are all free things, but what I'm getting in return is knowing me more and getting to meet people like yourself that have helped me move forward. And so people haven't seen it, but that's because I've been able to kind of disguise it by showing the good sides of what I'm doing. You're
a prime example of what this show is about. Individuals that are serving our community to just do the right thing. And I remember you doing interviews with small businesses that were just starting out, and they got a chance to share their coming up story and kind of what they did and things like that. You can't put a price tag on that, on how that fills the spirit of what we're able to do. And that's what this show is about, highlighting individuals like you that are making a difference. Now, this work led you to kind of the work that you're doing now, right, with Transcendent Outlook. Tell me a little bit about kind of your work in that and how you're making a difference in the lives of individuals.
Well, I think that although I'm giving a lot for free, in a way it's also selfish of me because I know that I'm getting something out of it. So when I'm helping small businesses kind of get more exposure, when I'm doing a podcast, when I'm doing those things, sure, on the outside it may look like, oh my God, he's giving so much, but I'm also being selfish in that I'm doing it for myself because I want to get better at speaking. I want to get better at getting in front of folks. And so what better way to get what better way to get better than by doing it? And so by me getting in front of folks and having these small seminars that you've attended and doing those things, I was just practicing what I wanted to do. And so it all helped me out to become who I am. So it was like a give and take that wasn't necessarily written down, but when you think about it, it was the give and take of me giving to the community and the community giving to me the idea of understanding who I am. And that all led me to understanding that my purpose is to give back, my purpose is to inspire, and my purpose is to hopefully help others. And so I do that through Transcendent Outlook, which is what you just mentioned, which is coaching, whether it's personal, whether it's professional. I do development coaching, helping people understand who they are, because I believe that in order for you to do what you want to do and do well in life, you have to first understand who you are. You can't love others until you love yourself. And I mean love yourself as in understand who you are, the good, the bad, and then you can then attract everything else. And so that's part of it. Part of it is getting to know you, and the other part is understanding that in that whole journey, once you start to love yourself and understand yourself, you start to attract all those things. And so I didn't call Carmen to say, hey, Carmen, I want to be on your show. Carmen called me. I attracted that to me by me doing the things that I know that I'm supposed to be doing because I know who I am. And with Transcendent Outlook, I want to help others understand the importance of knowing who you are.
So for those of you just tuning in, we're here with Eddie Transcendent Martinez with Transcendent Outlook, and the Transcendent is in like your middle name, and that was way before you had a business. So what does that transcendence mean? What does it mean to you?
So it's two parts to it. The first part that just came to mind is that I'm branding myself, right? And so if you go on Google and you Google Eddie Transcendent, everything that I've done comes up. And so the idea is that my name is Eddie Martinez, but Eddie Transcendent is what brings up all the information. And so I want Eddie Transcendent in the bottom of me right now so that when folks look at it, they could find that. The Transcendent name came up about 11, 12 years ago when I was starting to build, when I was starting the process of discovering who I am. Like you didn't know about the military, you probably didn't also know that I had some life-altering surgery about 11 years ago. And I was in a bad place where I wanted to really figure things out. And so at that point, I said to myself, I want to start doing things that I always wanted to do because I don't know how long I'm going to be around. And so at that point, I started DJing. And when I started to DJ, I needed a name. And this word kept coming to me, Transcendent. And I was like, what does it mean? And when I discovered its meaning, I said, I love it. And so I kept it. It was Transcendent Entertainment then. I then built a rental business because I was doing parties. So I started to rent. So that was Transcendent Rentals. And so at that point, people started calling me Eddie Transcendent because of that. And so I just kept the name, and Transcendent just kept going into what it is today, Transcendent Outlook.
And it's catchy, and it's almost like sometimes we don't know where our journey's bringing us.
Yes.
But that's all. As long as I've known you, I've known about the Transcendent.
Yes.
So it just feels like it just kind of ties in together. So individuals that you work with that are looking to make a life change, what is some advice that you give people that are not sure about what they want to do, about finding their own transcendence?
Yes.
What are some key things that, I think a lot of people that I know are in that same place, right? Especially since COVID. It's changed everything, you know. I'm a people person like you, and I never thought that I was going to be able to like work from home, right?
Yes.
And it was like a big deal to be able to work from home, and to have to do that. And then later on, you're like, how did I ever work and not do it this way, right?
Yes.
You kind of adapt to that. But people that are looking to either pivot, change, find their own transcendence, what are some advice that you give individuals that are looking for that change?
You know, I think that the journey of life is very similar to you driving a car. When you're in your car and you're driving, you can feel the bumps in the road, you can feel the potholes, you can feel if your car is shaky a little bit, and that's your life. You feel the shakiness, you know something's off, right? And a lot of times, if the car is bumpy, it might be the tires. And so I talk a lot about the wheel of life. And the wheel of life is your life, and it has different sides of it, almost like a pie.
Yeah.
And each thing kind of talks about a different part of your life. And so I tell people, if you feel like something that is shaky and you're trying to figure it out, just draw out the wheel of life and start to figure out where you need help. If you don't know where to start, just do that. And it's super simple. I can tell you right now real quick. Draw a circle, divide it into 8 pieces, and each one of those pieces is going to be a part of your life. It's going to be your love life. It's going to be finances. It's going to be health. It's going to be physical health as far as working out. It's going to be, just your friendships. It's going to be the 8 things that matter the most in your life. And then what you're going to do is you're going to draw a line in each one of those pies. So you look at the pie. The middle is 0. The outside of the pie is 10. You draw a line on each one, and that's going to draw a circle, and you're going to see where the bumps are in your life. And once you figure that out, you know where to start to figure out what's wrong. That. Yeah.
Eddie, we are in a live show, so we have a caller. Caller, welcome to Connecticut at your service. Do you have a question for Mr. Martinez?
Yes. I'm listening to the show. It's a great show you guys got going on right now. So I just want to know about the podcast. Where can we take a listen to it so you can get some more insight from the wonderful journey that's going on right now?
No, definitely. Well, first of all, thank you so much for calling and for your interest in the podcast and in me. For me, anytime that happens, it makes me super happy just to know that somebody's interested in what I'm working on. You can find the podcast on any of your podcast platforms. So wherever you listen to podcasts, Spotify, Apple, Google, Amazon Music, wherever you listen to it, it'll be there. So you can find it there. Or you can go on YouTube and you can watch the videos there, which it's the same thing, just with the actual video involved in it. Or like I said earlier, if you just Google Eddie Tranzcendent with a Z, Transcendent with a Z, everything will come up right there. You'll be able to find it.
So who are I know that the caller's on, but what kind of features do you do on your show? Like, do you look for like businesses? Do you look for...
So the idea of the podcast is to highlight anything positive happening, whether it's somebody who we know or somebody who we don't know, especially people who we don't know. Because I just think that we spend way too much time on negativity. And I know that bad news is what sells. I get it. I went to college. I get that whole concept. But I think that we also have to highlight the good things that are happening.
Absolutely.
And the people who are doing great things behind the scenes.
Give me some pound for that. Give me some pound.
And so that's the whole idea, is to highlight them so that people can know that these people are doing great things and hopefully inspire them to also do good things, even if it's behind the scenes. I get that you don't want the spotlight, but we need to see you. We need to hear about what you're doing.
Yeah, and I get that a lot of times too. Caller, did you have another question?
Yeah, so tell us about your college experience. Did you go for something that you wanted to pursue, or you just ended up just like switching your career path during your time in college?
Exactly the latter. I must have switched my major probably 4 or 5 times because, again, that was all part of the journey of figuring it out, right? I wanted to do one thing. I went in, tried it out. I said, this is not really for me, and I kept going. But I also started college late. I started college in my mid-20s. I gave myself time to really understand and to go into college knowing that I wanted to go to college. So to answer your question, I went to Housatonic and graduated from there. Then I went to UB and kept going over and over and over, trying different things, all which helped me in what I do now. Whether it's graphic designing, whether it's photography, whether it's just communicating, it all helped me in what I do now.
You got to start someplace. And I think I get from kind of your conversations that we've had in venues where I've seen you speak and things, you got to start someplace.
Yeah.
You don't know where the journey's going to take you if you don't take the first step.
You got to take the step,
you know? Caller, thank you so much, and make sure that you keep watching.
All right. Have a good night, guys.
All right. Good night, and thanks for calling. So I know I want to make sure that I kind of get, so I know that a lot of the things that you do with your business and all of that, but I know that we've mentioned a ton of different nonprofits that you've helped out in the different roles that you've had. Is there one that stands out as kind of like, this is where I'm going to sink my teeth into, or this is that was one of your favorites of the work you've done?
I think
don't tell me all. You got to commit to one.
No, I think that I've sunk my teeth into all of them. The Puerto Rican Parade of Fairfield County has a special place in my heart. I'm not there anymore, but it still does, only because that's what got it all started. When I was a child, they brought Tito Rojas down to Seaside Park, and I'm a huge Sarsa fan, and I'm a huge Tito Rojas fan. And I remember being a kid, I remember seeing Tito Rojas, and I remember thinking to myself, I want to be part of what's making all these people smile. And so I always wanted to be part of the Puerto Rican Parade. And when I got an opportunity to go in there, Maria Valle, gave me an opening. I came in, and I did some great work there. And so although I'm involved with a whole bunch of other organizations, the Puerto Rican parade, I got the Puerto Rican flag on my arm. I mean, the Puerto Rican parade, that was the one that really had a special place in my heart because of the work that they do, and because of of the ideas that I had that I thought could probably bring more and more, attention to that great organization.
Well, thank you for sharing that. And I think we were on at different times, but definitely being connected to your culture and your people. You were born and raised in Bridgeport, right?
I was born and raised in Bridgeport, and when I came to the Puerto Rican parade, you were the madrina, I believe, that year.
Oh, okay. So that's where I got mine.
Yeah, that was.
I mean, and that spearheaded a really, kind of really embracing being Puerto Rican and what it means and the responsibility of being in an organization that really is to educate about our culture and to keep it, to keep our traditions and things like that moving forward.
And also, if I might, and also to really understand what really goes on behind the scenes.
That's a big lesson.
I don't think people understand what goes on behind the scenes with the Puerto Rican parade. I think it's very easy.
And other organizations too. You don't know
I think it's easy to look and judge, but I remember the first day I was there, and I remember asking Maria, it was the day before the parade, and I said, hey, after the parade, when are we going to meet again for the next parade? And she goes, next weekend. And I was like, wait, what? And she goes, yeah, this is all year round, baby. And I was like, oh my God.
Yeah, and I think that's really a great thing to kind of make sure that we're highlighting that this work with nonprofits and individuals who are involved in issues and missions and purpose, that it's not just what you see takes a long, long time to build. I wanted to highlight and just talk about two things in your work. There is like an assessment that you do. It's called a DISC, right?
Yes.
And I think that's really important because some people might use Myers-Briggs and some other things. I will tell you that when I took that test, it costs a lot. But tell me what the DISC does. Like, what's the purpose of that?
So the purpose of DISC is again, to help you understand who you are, whether it's me and you as friends or as a couple or at the workplace. The idea is for you to understand who you are and then understand how to work with others. Because I think that what happens is that we're raised with this mindset of treat others the way you want to be treated. I believe that that's not true. I think you treat others the way they should be treated. And so when you understand that people need to be treated the way they should be treated, your communications get better. Mm-hmm. And so what the DISC does is that it breaks it down into 4 different personality types. And once you understand which one you are, then you understand how you work and you understand how to work with others. And it's a special program because not only does it help you, again, work with yourself, but if you're in a work setting, it gives you everything you need to be able to work with your coworkers or with your subordinates or whatever it may be. And it helps you understand the importance of really knowing who you're working with and how the way you speak to them gets a different response out of all of them. And so it's important. And I think for me, if I may, I think for me, my mom, my mom doesn't have a high school education, right? But she was a smart woman until where she knew that all 3 of us, me and my 2 brothers, were different. And she treated us different. And for a long time, I would get upset. But Mommy, I don't want to do that. I don't want to have him do it. But she knew that he couldn't do it. It was me because of who I was. And so this has taught me that you treat people the way they should be treated, but you start first with knowing who you are. And
with that DISC, it not only talks about your own personality, but how to interact with those other personality types so that you can kind of be understood, right? And that work has evolved where you do, you work with youth. Tell me a little bit about how you're working with youth. And I want to say that I love the fact that in coaching and things like that, there's way more women than men.
Yes.
So it's really important to be able to have positive role models as fathers, as, partners, as friends, it really, and there's just isn't enough of that. They're good male people in different roles, but I think we need more men to step up and help our young men in our community because some don't know how to be a gentleman. And you got to teach them how to be a gentleman, right?
Of course. Yes.
We just have like a little bit more time left, but tell me a little bit about the group, what you do with youth.
I think that it's important for me to be well-rounded. And so if I'm helping adults, I should be able to help youth as well. Whether or not that happens is a whole other story, but I wanted to make sure I was well-rounded. And so what I did was I became certified in the Girls Circle as well as the Boys Council, which is 2 programs that are gender-specific to either boys or girls, and it helps them with their development in different aspects. You know, whether we're talking about bullying, whether we're talking about like social media, or we're talking about just anything that has to do with youth coming up, I have the tools to be able to help, whether it's boys or girls, in the come up, especially in those tough high school years. That we don't realize how tough they are as adults, but if we remember back when we were in high school, those years were tough.
And the impact it has, the long-lasting impact that it has. So if people wanted to talk to you and just learn a little bit more about you, you know, learn about your programs, how can people reach you?
Yeah, they can definitely, again, you could Google my name and everything comes up. On social media is Eddie Tranzcendent on all the platforms, every single platform, I'm on all of them. And my website, transcendentoutlook.com. Go on there and you'll be able to see the work that I do and just reach out to me. I have an open book.
We have just a few minutes left, but tell me, what's next for you?
Oof.
Where are you transcending to next?
I don't know what's next. I'm just going on a journey. For me, the goal, if I'm being honest with you, is Madison Square Garden.
Wow, let's manifest that.
I want to fill it up with folks that want to come and hear me speak.
I'll open up for you if you let me. Let me know. So I think you manifest that, and I love that. And I think that you definitely have a positive message to share. You definitely have the opportunity. So we have just a few minutes left, but I would love to get any last words, any last of advice. And we have about a minute if you wanted to just give any last words, advice.
No, of course. I'll look right in the camera. Guys, listen, this is the only life you have. You only have this one life, and so you have to make the best of it. I understand we have needs, we have to buy things. I get it, so you have to have a job, and I get it. But please, 24 hours in a day. We all have 24 hours. She has 24 hours, I have 24 hours. So it's not about how many hours we have, it's about what you're doing with those hours. And so let's start to use that time wisely to find yourself, because once you find yourself, everything will start coming to you and life becomes way better. It's not gonna happen tomorrow, it's not gonna happen the day after, but it'll happen once you start working on yourself. So please, use your 24 hours wisely and start to know yourself, because that is the key to your happiness. And happiness is that's where you wanna be, happiness. And so that's the key, get to know yourself.
That's amazing. One more time, how we reach you?
Eddie Transcendent. Google Eddie Transcendent. Everything comes up. And reach out to me on Facebook. I'm an open book. Let's talk.
Eddie, I want to thank you for, just sharing your wisdom, your advice, all the ways that you're making a difference and, contributing to the world, all the ways that you highlight small business, all the way that you look to transform our community into a better place to live, learn, and work. I want to take a minute to appreciate you for that. I'm going to ask callers to please follow up, check them out on Facebook and all of that, because it does make a difference. I want to thank all the viewers, all our callers, all the individuals that help make this show a success. I want to thank you for tuning in. Make sure that you're following us. I didn't want to forget, so I wrote it down, because sometimes I forget. Make sure that you're following us on soundviewtv.org, that you're logging in live. Make sure to follow us on Facebook, on YouTube, and on our website to make sure that you're following us and learn about all the different guests that are coming forward. We'll tune into you next time. See you next Tuesday.